Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing good today. I'm delighted to have a very special guest. I'm joined by Alice, who has been on my channel before, but we're going to be previewing the game at the weekend. And I was just saying off air, I just don't know how to feel about this game considering Arsenal's form. I know for you guys, you're probably in a better position. But first of all, how are you doing and how are you feeling about this game at the weekend?
Thanks for having me on. And yeah, do you know what? I'm feeling a bit more confident than usual. The only thing is, I always say with Man United, Arsenal, if it's at Old Trafford, I fancy United. If it's at Emirates, I fancy Arsenal. We haven't won at the Emirates since I think Jesse Lingard did like the
Yeah.
moonwalk and the Millie Rock and when it was his dance floor. We haven't won. I think that might have been an FA Cup game actually. So the fact that it's at the Emirates worries me. Your home record is a lot better than your away record this season, I believe. But without Saka, and I thought you needed an attacker when Saka was fit, but without Saka and Wanyeri, who's looked really good, he seems to be out now. You know, unless Man United are rubbish on set pieces like normal, I do think, we could make it difficult for Arsenal to score. I thought I know we lost 2-0, but when we came to the Emirates, we actually we made the first half difficult. We made it difficult for you, but we had errors in us. I fancy United to make it a difficult game. I don't know if I'd say win because we haven't won at the Emirates in a while, and we're not scoring the goals, and you have quite a good defensive record. But I fancy it to be a close game where whoever wins by one goal.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel. I mean, I think that me and Man United definitely have a chance. I mean, the way you were against Liverpool, I mean, if you can perform like that, it's going to be hard for us. I mean, I think our injuries, are causing us a lot of problems. But like you said, the attack, without Saka as well, we've relied on him for such a long time, and without him, I mean, when Ranieri, I really liked him, and he's injured now. So the attack for me is our biggest problem. But I thought we could speak a bit about your guys' season as well before we get into this, because obviously you got a new manager and it feels like it's the right appointment, but he needs time, I think, and patience from the fans. But what are your thoughts on him coming in, your season so far?
Yeah, season so far, I mean, 13th in the league. It's not the best feeling. I think like any new manager, you've got to be patient, give them time. It's frustrating
Yeah.
that we spent a load of money in the summer on Ten Hag, and then he went, and then we've got a
Yeah.
manager that's very different. 600 million was spent on Ten Hag, and we've got a manager that now plays five at the back. And we have quite defensive-minded fullbacks, and now his fullbacks essentially wingers. So that's a big thing that needs to be addressed in, I'd like to say January, but probably the summer. A lot of our wingers, now more tens in Amarin's system, and there's a lot of differences between Ten Hag and Amarin's system. So I know that it's going to be difficult for Amarin, and I think it's just about can he get the best out of the players between now and the end of the season before recruitment comes in. For me, I don't know how I feel about United because I think that the new manager's in, so I'm not got any negative feelings towards Amarin. I know that it's a project. I know we've got to be patient. We had a good result versus Liverpool, but the season itself has been just awful for us. I think awful. So I just hope we could do something in January to just give us a bit of boost to the end of the season, because as long as we can get in at least the Europa League next season, there's something there. I would love
Yeah.
Champions League, but I've got to be realistic. But if we come in like 10th, 11th, it's just not good enough for the squad.
Yeah, I think it's so hard as well because he's come in, and I think you need to give him time to bring his own players in. But at the same time, if you come in like you said 10th, it's not really good enough. I mean, I think it's definitely possible to get the top six because it's not too far right now. Probably 12 points from that now, but I think bringing a new manager now it gives you enough time right now to get in that position as well. But for you, like this season, I know last season you won a trophy, your league position wasn't too great. Do you feel like you would prioritize winning a trophy or maybe finishing in the league in a bit higher, whether that's if it's possible for you to get top four or top six?
I think because we won the FA Cup last year, the Carabao Cup the year before, I think that maybe league position could potentially be a priority because while winning a trophy is great, we've been quite lucky. We've won 2 trophies in 2 years. Only Man City have won more trophies than us in the last 2 years. I do think priority could be Europa because that gets you in the Champions League. I think
Yeah.
FA Cup, because we won it last year, of course you're going to put a strong squad versus Arsenal. The matches at the weekend, we've had a week off, where you've played midweek. So I think we'll put a strong squad. And I think, he's not going to deliberately do bad in the FA Cup. But I think it is get up the league table, and I think probably Europa would prioritise, not so much FA Cup, because if we win Europa, we get back in the Champions League.
Yeah,
And then the higher you finish in the league, the more like money you get. And
yeah,
I'm thinking that Ineos will look at that from a very financial perspective, because everyone's talking about the Man United owners and how much they love money and saving money. So I think we have to get into the Champions League, or we lose like a lot of our sponsorship money as well. So I think they've probably told Amrin to go all out in Europa League, I think.
yeah. Yeah, I think, like you said, I mean, even like with Ten Hag, he didn't do great last season. He still managed to get silverware, which I think, you know, what the club needed in a way. But then you look at it and think it gave him more time. But I think right now it would be great if you guys could win a trophy under him. But I do agree. I think your league position would be quite important. Like if you came top six, it's not what you want right now, but it's so much better than maybe the last sort of few seasons. But I think for Arsenal, I mean, I don't really know where we're going to finish in the league, but I do think Arteta's under a lot of pressure now. Obviously, I hope we bring someone in January, but I can't say I'm confident that we will. But what have you made of Arsenal this season? Because for me, when last season finished, I thought, you know what, I'm really happy with how close we've got. I know we didn't win the league, and I was really upset, but I just felt this season we would have pushed on a lot more. I'm surprised with Man City this season, but I just feel very like I don't know what I'm watching the football. I'm going to be honest. I think we're playing quite boring at the moment, and I don't really feel excited with what I'm watching. Like, what are your thoughts on Arsenal right now?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, as a Man United fan, of course, I enjoy watching Arsenal drop points and stuff. But if I'm looking at it from like an expectation of an Arsenal fan, I would say it would be disappointing, because Manchester City have dropped off. This is Arsenal's time. You've come second to Manchester City. You took the title race to the final day last year. You spent a bit more money than Man City in the summer. They've dropped off. Liverpool didn't spend any money in the summer, unless you count Mamardashvili and Chiesa that haven't really played, and Mamardashvili's coming in next season. Liverpool essentially haven't brought anyone in. They got a new manager in, and they're top of the league, and they're 6 points clear of the game in hand, and they're flying at the moment. They're a little bit of a wobble this week, but they are flying at the moment. So I'd say from an Arsenal perspective, it's probably disappointing, because if someone had told you, that Man City would lose, would win one of 13 games in a row, every Arsenal fan would be bouncing at that start season. Like, that's our year. So I think from that perspective, the fact that Arsenal haven't pushed Liverpool, because I think that Liverpool are very much gettable. They have weaknesses in that side. They didn't invest. But because Arsenal haven't been good enough, I think that's the disappointing thing. And I think, as you touched upon, the boringness, the attack. I mean, I sometimes think when I look at Arsenal, they haven't got that transition threat. Liverpool, when they get the ball, they can move up the pitch really quickly, transition threat. You can see Jota and Diaz combine. Salah's just a level of his own when it comes to players. Liverpool have got that ability to be a threat when it comes to breaking down low blocks and breaking down transitions. Whereas I feel Arsenal a little bit passive. They keep the ball a lot. Sometimes they look like a little bit out of ideas in the final third. Like, they're very good at the corners, very good at set pieces. I think out of possession, you're very strong. And I think with Saka being out, it's highlighted it even more, because I think Saka's just like a world-class player, and he's your right-hand side locked on. Saka, Odegaard, Timber, very good right-hand side. The left-hand side has been a problem to you guys recently. It's always been a bit weaker, but you lack in transitions. You lack a little bit of ideas, like sort of in that final third. You need someone that's willing to take risk. And I thought Wanyeri, was it the Brentford game that he played?
I think it was. Yeah.
He didn't get a goal or assist, but he looked really threatening, and he played a part in two of the goals. And I felt that, like, the way that he was looking to take people on and get forward, I wasn't seeing that much from the other attackers. And I think when I look at Arsenal, maybe you could have done better in the transfer window, looking at your needs. I know Havertz had a really good run towards the end of the season with the goal scoring. I know Saka's in top form, but Martinelli didn't have the best season last year. I do look at Arsenal and think, the money was spent on Mourinho and Calafiori. At the time, I thought Calafiori was a really good signing, and I think it'll be interesting to see how he develops, because I'm a big fan of Calafiori. But I do look at it and think, could Arsenal have really pushed for someone in attack? I know you were linked to Sesko, City are out there getting Marmoush, but should Arsenal be doing that? Because you get an attacker and it could be a different game for you.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, because like I think in the summer, I think now you look at it and I think we should definitely have maybe, like, I'm not saying we shouldn't have brought the players in that we have, but I think we could have done things differently. Because I think, like, since Aubameyang left, we've not really replaced him. Nketiah's left, which was the right thing for both, but in the attack, I think like this game coming up, I do sort of worry. I mean, defensively, we have sort of conceded a lot at the moment, but I just think when our back four is sort of the same, we're okay, but the midfield as well has been a bit of a problem as well. I mean, Partey has been having to play it right back, and he's better in that midfield, and it's all quite inconsistent this season. But I think for the game at the weekend, I don't really know what I'm going to see from Arsenal. Are we going to see any changes? Because as we mentioned, Saka being out probably maybe till March or a bit after that is, a big blow. But when Neri came in, and I thought to myself, maybe he can really help us. I can't remember which game it was, but he scored a really good goal. It might be the Brighton game, and I just felt like I had a bit of hope in our attack that maybe we could see something more exciting. And now him being injured, I think it just really came at the wrong time. But from like United's perspective, in this game at the weekend, which players from your team would you say are going to be a threat that maybe will make things hard for Arsenal?
Threat. I mean, we don't have much threat at the moment going forward. I mean, Ahmad is the clear one, I think. He's been really good this season. Literally, every time we've scored since like Ten Hag left, it seems to involve either Ahmad or Bruno Fernandes. So I think they're the most threatening players that we have. Garnacho has been poor since Ten Hag left, but he did have a good cameo off the bench versus Liverpool. So maybe the assist, the confidence. Højlund, you just don't know what you're going to get with Højlund. Højlund is one of those guys, I think, because he's so young and inconsistent. Sometimes he can have a really good game, and then the next game he can be awful. Like, sometimes he'll still have an unbelievable game, get a goal, get an assist. You're like, wow, like, Højlund, 20 years of age, this is... And then the next game, you're like, what are you doing? It's so mixed. So I would say Ahmad is the one to watch.
Yeah, I like him. I really enjoy watching him, actually. Like, from what I've seen, he seems quite... it's sort of kind of Saka. When Saka came through the academy, he was exciting to watch, and I think you get that vibe from him as well. And even if you're not a United fan, you just sort of wanted to see him do well. I think he's such a special player, but I do think he's going to cause Arsenal problems if he's playing, because I noticed when we were sort of playing against Newcastle, Isak was just so easy to sort of like scoring. We weren't really keeping our eyes on him, and I think we might have the same problem with him in this game. And I think we've got to sort of be careful with how we deal with some of these players. But I definitely feel excited about this game. For United, what lineup do you think you'd go with? I'd love to sort of hear your thoughts on that.
It's a difficult one. Because I do think we've got a game. It's not till Thursday, so Sunday, Thursday. I'd probably say Euro for me has to start at centre back. He was unbelievable when he came on versus Liverpool. He made, I don't know if you saw a brilliant challenge of Darwin Núñez, the way he ran back. And then when he came on those last 10 minutes versus Arsenal at the Emirates, I thought he dealt very well. So I'd like to see Euro at the back. I'd like to see Maguire for the set pieces. And then I don't think De Ligt had his best game last game. But then I think set pieces. But then I'm also like, Martin is on the ball. It's a difficult one. I'm probably going to go De Ligt, Maguire, Euro, just for the sense of set pieces, just set, because that's, I think, your biggest threat. Wing backs, I'd like to see Anthony tried at left wing back. Give Dalot a rest for a change. Even though he had his best game under Amram versus Liverpool, give him rest for a change. Mazraoui right wing back. I want to see what Anthony does at left wing back, and maybe Arsenal's a risky game, but I'm just thinking no Saka on the right wing, so left wing back we could take some risks. And midfield, it's got to be Agate and Maino. I mean, just the levels between Eriksen and Casemiro playing versus Newcastle, and Agate and Maino versus Liverpool. Just the levels there, and then Bruno and Ahmad as the 10s, and then maybe I'd try Xerxes up front because I thought Højlund struggled last time against you.
Yeah, I think that's a good lineup, to be fair. I think, like I said, these games are always so competitive, and I think Bruno in that midfield as well, he might be able to cause some problems there. But I think both teams, have enough quality, to be honest, to be able to score. I mean, Arsenal are lacking that threat up front, but I do think we should be able to. I think both teams will get something out of this game. Like, I don't feel confident that. I'm not sure we would win, but I think with our attack, we don't really have a lot of options right now, to be honest. It's so tough, really. I think up front, I'd probably go Havertz, but I think Havertz for me has been not as good this season. I think, like a lot of players, haven't been great. Probably, I don't know. I'd probably put Martinelli maybe on the left, Jesus maybe on the right. I think I'd pick up in our attack. I'd probably go with the same midfield really that we've sort of seen with Partey, Odegaard, and yeah, Rice. I mean, Odegaard as well himself. I think he's a bit ill, so he's sort of playing through maybe his illness, like Havertz. But back four for Arsenal, I'd probably go with Timber. I really love Timber this season. I think he's done really well. Gabriel, Saliba. I like Lewis Skelly actually. I'd give him a shout, and obviously Raya at the back. But I think it's going to be hard for us to score a lot of goals in this game. But I just sort of don't know which United we're going to get in this game. So it's going to be tough for both teams, I think. But I would love to know your score prediction for the game and yeah, how you feel about it.
You're very right at the end when you went. You just don't know what Man United's going
to
do. We could make you look really good, or we could do what we did versus Liverpool and make it tough. And I think one thing about Amorim is away to the Etihad, away to Anfield, didn't lose those games. Away to Emirates, I know you won 2-0, but he made it difficult for you. You didn't roll over us like he did under Ten Hag. So I think it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But I reckon we might nick a 1-0. I'm going to back us, which I'd never do at the Emirates. I always fancy the Emirates. But I'm just going to say, you know what? I feel like our players could be fired up for it, but this could really haunt me because they could drop stinkers and embarrass us.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a close one because, like we said, I think one of the teams will just sort of sneak that win. I mean, I'm just going to hope and be positive that we can get a 2-1 win, but I do worry that if we lose, like, what happens next? Because the thing is, like I said before, we need to win something this season, and I think if that doesn't happen, I do maybe think Arteta's time might be up, and that's what I'm worried about. Like for you, like I've really tried to have faith, but I'm sort of thinking now, is this as far as he can take us? But do you think if we end the season without anything, like any trophies, that he should move on and we should sort of go our separate ways with Arteta?
Potentially at the end of the season, you've still got the Champions League, although I don't think you'd win it. But
no, I don't think we're there really.
But you never know. There's still the Champions League, and Saka would be back for the important games by then. I don't know if he'll do anything in January or not. It's a difficult one because sometimes I look at Arsenal and I think, well, actually, look at your front line. Like, it's not that good. And I think that Arteta's done quite a good job. But then other times I say, has he taken them as far as he can? Do they need just another manager to just take them to that next level to be, like where Liverpool and City have been? So I think it's one where you judge at the end of the season because it's a massive risk. And if you keep coming second, which is good considering where you were 5-6 years ago, it's one that you only really want to do if you think there's a guy there that you know is the man.
Yeah, that's the thing, because like I just want to know who we would bring in with these players as well, because like you said, he's done a lot of good with Arsenal, and from going from 8th now to 2nd is definitely an improvement. But I think we don't want to sort of be that team that's always going to come for second, that's always going to sort of not like bottle it, but in that sense, we'll get close, we don't do it. And I think as fans, we're sort of getting a bit impatient. I mean, silverware is so important, and I agree with you. Like, I'm waiting for the end of the season to have my real opinion, because at the moment I'm sort of weighing up sort of Arteta in, Arteta out, what he's brought into the team, and now he has been here for a while. Because I suppose for United with their new manager, I think if he's here, say 4 or 5 years, you'd hope by then he'd win you more than just one FA Cup. And obviously, I know the league position is important, but I think this season, I just think we're not really happy with the football we've been playing. And I do get injuries. I'm not saying Arteta is to blame for that. It just happens. But I just think we do have to make changes in January if we really, that'll help Arteta. If we really want to stay here for a few more years or whatever, I think we do have to bring some changes in, because I think it's really showing that we have relied on Saka far too much. And we did the same a bit with Ranieri a bit. I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't ready to play, but you sort of expect the signings to step up a bit more than him, and he's only a kid really, so it's a lot of responsibility for him, and obviously Saka as well. I know he's an experienced player, but I think our signings just haven't really gone as good. I mean, I like Calafiori. I think he's been good, but I just think we need a win at the weekend for us fans to have that confidence boost. But I hope the game obviously goes well. Obviously, I'd love Arsenal to win, but the best team will definitely win. But Alice, I've honestly loved having you on my channel today. And to those that, if they aren't subscribed, which they should be, do you want to tell people where they can find you on your channel?
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Sophie. Everybody watching, make sure you go like this video, give Sophie some love. But yeah, if you want Man United content, type Alice Talks Footballing on YouTube. If you want content which is like all the big six clubs, which include Arsenal, I have a channel called Alice Aquila Football. Aquila is just Alice spelled backwards if you don't know how to spell that. And then I waffle a lot on Twitter and occasionally TikTok, but Twitter I waffle a lot on as well. So that's Alice Talks Football. Thank you.
I love that. Oh, you're very welcome. I've really enjoyed having you on today. And please do check out Alice's channel if you haven't already. But to those that will be watching this back, I hope you have all enjoyed my preview. Please don't forget to smash the like button, do subscribe, and I'll see you all very soon.